There are certain things people only do when nobody is watching. Tiny habits, quiet rituals, strange mental patterns that almost never appear in public. And psychology suggests something unsettling about them. If you do even a few of these things completely alone, your mind may already be operating on a level most people will never fully understand. Not louder, not more dramatic, just different. Because real intelligence rarely looks the way the world taught you it would. It is not always the person talking the most. Not the person winning arguments online, not the person collecting attention like trophies. Some of the deepest minds on earth look completely ordinary from the outside. Quiet people, overthinkers, people who disappear into thought during long drives, people who replay conversations in silence like their brain is trying to solve a puzzle nobody else can even see. And maybe that has been you your entire life. Maybe you spent years thinking something was wrong with you because your mind never fully shuts off. Because you question things too deeply. Because you can sit alone with your thoughts for hours while everyone else reaches for noise just to escape themselves. But what if that was never dysfunction? What if your brain was quietly building something rare underneath the surface this whole time? Like roots growing underground before anyone ever sees the tree. And honestly, once I started understanding these patterns myself, I realized how many intelligent people spend their entire lives feeling misunderstood, simply because their intelligence does not perform loudly for the world to notice. So if even one part of this video makes you feel strangely understood, take 1 second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The next few minutes may completely change the way you see your own mind forever. And the first sign is something most people completely misunderstand about intelligent minds. Sign number 1. You can sit with difficult questions without forcing an answer. Most people cannot tolerate uncertainty for very long. The moment life becomes unclear, they rush toward the fastest explanation available just to calm themselves down. But your mind works differently. You stay inside the question, even when it's uncomfortable, even when there is no immediate relief waiting at the end of it. I remember lying awake one night staring at the ceiling for almost 2 hours, thinking about a decision that could change the direction of my entire future. And the strange part was not the anxiety. It was the fact that some deeper part of me refused to accept an easy answer just to feel temporary peace. That is rare, extremely rare. Because intelligent minds often understand something most people never realize. A quick answer is not always a true answer. And sometimes the people who appear the calmest on the outside are secretly rushing to escape uncertainty internally. But you stay there, thinking, turning the idea around slowly like holding a fragile glass object in your hands, afraid to break the truth by touching it too fast. And strangely, the longer you live that way, the more your mind starts doing something even rarer. Sign number 2. You mentally argue against your own beliefs even when nobody is forcing you to. Most people spend their private thoughts defending themselves, replaying arguments, imagining comebacks, protecting their ego like it's fragile glass. But your brain does something almost uncomfortable instead. You challenge your own opinions from every angle just to see if they survive the pressure. I remember catching myself one afternoon completely dismantling an opinion I had believed for years while sitting alone in my car. No audience, no debate, no reason other than the feeling that truth mattered more than being right. And honestly, that kind of thinking can feel exhausting because it forces you to outgrow versions of yourself over and over again. But that is exactly what makes it rare. Weak minds avoid contradiction because it threatens identity. Intelligent minds walk directly into it because they would rather evolve than stay emotionally comfortable. That is not insecurity. That is intellectual honesty at a level most people never reach. And after spending enough time questioning your own beliefs, your mind slowly develops another ability that most people never even realize exists. Sign number 3. You study your own emotions like they are clues instead of commands. Most people feel anger and immediately become anger. They feel anxiety and instantly drown inside it. But you pause. You observe it. You ask yourself uncomfortable questions most people avoid. Why did that comment affect me so deeply? Why did that moment stay in my head all day? Why does this pain feel older than the situation itself? I remember sitting alone one night after a simple conversation ruined my mood for hours, and instead of blaming the other person, I kept tracing the feeling backward until I realized it connected to something I had carried for years without noticing. That changes you. Because the moment emotions become signals instead of storms, you stop being controlled by every wave that hits your mind. And honestly, if you relate deeply to this habit, comment number 7 below. Very few people are self-aware enough to recognize their emotions while they are happening. most people only react. But you analyze, and that quiet difference changes everything. And once your mind starts analyzing emotions that deeply, something even stranger begins happening over time. Sign number 4. You quietly rewrite the meaning of your own past. Not the memories themselves, the interpretation of them. Most people treat old experiences like frozen photographs that never change. But your brain keeps revisiting moments from years ago and suddenly seeing them from an entirely different angle. I remember driving home one evening when a random memory from high school came back into my mind out of nowhere. Something someone said to me that hurt for years. But for the first time, I realized it was never really about me at all. It was about their insecurity, their pain, their immaturity. And honestly, that realization felt like removing a weight I did not even know I was still carrying. That is what intelligent minds often do in silence. They reorganize the emotional architecture of their own life, little by little behind the scenes. Because growth is not always learning something new. Sometimes it is finally understanding something old correctly for the very first time. And after enough years of mentally rebuilding your understanding of life, your mind starts craving something most people cannot even appreciate anymore. Sign number 5. You become deeply fascinated by things that offer absolutely no practical reward. No money, no status, no reason. Just pure curiosity. I remember opening my phone one night to search one random question about ancient civilizations, and somehow ending up 2 hours later reading about how people sent letters across countries before modern technology even existed. And the strange part was how alive my mind felt during it. Most people only learn when there is a reward waiting at the end. A grade, a promotion, validation. But your brain hungers for knowledge the way some people hunger for entertainment. Quietly. Constantly. And honestly, that kind of curiosity is far rarer than people realize because it usually comes from a mind that genuinely enjoys thinking itself. So if you have ever fallen into weird rabbit holes that nobody around you understands, comment number 7 below. Highly intelligent minds are often drawn toward useless knowledge long before the world realizes its value. And the deeper that curiosity grows, the more your mind develops another rare ability. Sign number 6. You can change your own thinking in real time. Most people would rather protect their ego than admit they were wrong even to themselves. But you catch your own thoughts halfway through and suddenly realize, wait, that's not actually true. And you pivot. I remember having conversations where I could literally feel my perspective changing sentence by sentence, while the other person kept defending the same point emotionally. That kind of mental flexibility is rare because it requires something most people fear: letting go of the version of yourself that existed 5 seconds ago. Intelligent minds are not obsessed with appearing consistent. They are obsessed with getting closer to truth, even if it means constantly rebuilding themselves internally. And after a lifetime of constantly evolving your own mind, the final sign becomes the rarest one of all. Sign number 7. You genuinely enjoy being alone with your own thoughts. Not because you hate people, not because you are lonely, but because your inner world actually feels alive to you. I remember taking a long walk one evening with no music, no notifications, no distractions, and instead of feeling bored, I felt strangely peaceful, like my brain finally had room to breathe again. Most people run from silence because silence forces them to meet themselves, but you can sit inside it comfortably. That changes everything. Because when your own mind becomes good company, you stop depending on constant noise to feel okay. And honestly, if this describes you deeply, comment number 7 below. Very few people can be alone without feeling empty. But you think, reflect, observe, and somehow that quiet becomes home. And maybe after hearing all of this, you are finally starting to understand something important about yourself. These habits do not mean you are better than other people. They mean your mind experiences the world differently, more deeply, more internally, more consciously. Real intelligence has never been about performing loudly for attention. Some of the most powerful minds spend their lives unnoticed because their greatest work happens in silence, in long walks alone, in sleepless nights full of reflection, in private moments where they question themselves honestly instead of protecting their ego. I think a lot of people spend years believing they are strange, simply because they think too much, feel too deeply, or need solitude to recharge their spirit. But maybe your mind was never broken. Maybe it was simply built for depth in a world addicted to distraction. And honestly, there is something peaceful about finally realizing that. So if this video made you feel understood in a way most people never have, make sure you subscribe to the channel. The next videos may help you understand parts of yourself you have quietly carried for years. All the voices and images in my videos are created with AI. but the editing process is completely done by me. I personally match every image with the voiceover, arrange every scene, and turn everything into a complete video. No AI or machine can replace that part. Making videos takes a lot of time and effort, so if you enjoy the content, please support the channel with a like and subscribe.